This is the 8-9 Combo.
This is the 8-9 Combo. I'm Brett McKay Harry Jones. And mate, I've not had to ask you this for a while, but where in the rugby world are you right now?
How's it, Brett? I'm in County Clare, on the edge of County Tipperary.
In Ireland.
Atlantic Wild Way. It's sometimes called the Midwest of Ireland, and it's marked by these incredible wild passageways of water. I'm on the way to a house outside of town near a river where there's a dog, and I'm going to walk the dog. That's my mission today. That's my checklist is walk Eve the dog, and then meet two cats that are named for Kylie Minogue. That's it. That's about the plan.
No further questions, Your Honour. I have one more question for you. Is it indeed a long way to Tipperary?
Right now, I'm really, really close to Tipperary, and also very close to Limerick, where the Bulls will play Munster. Both of them smarting from exiting the various cups, the People's Cup and the Real Cup. Yeah.
Yes, the actual cup and the Bastard Son Cup. The one and only Riaan Louw joins us for a great rugby chat very soon, but we are straight into his cheers. Fire away, mate. What have you got for me?
Oh, my cheers is obviously now just the succession plan of Leinster, where you never even know who's learning from who. Is it the All Blacks now spying on Jacques Nienaber's defense, or is it Jacques Nienaber scouting the Irish and New Zealand midfields? I have heard a rumor that Rory McIlroy is being poached from Ulster as a place kicker, a drop kicker par excellence, as well. So wait for that. But it looks like Leinster took that news of being trimmed a bit on the percentage and said, oh yeah, well, we'll show you. We're just going to go with whoever our fans hate the most. We're even taking that guy. We can do whatever we want.
Who does Geordie Barrett play with? Let's just sign him. That's the extent of it. Fair enough. I am offering cheers to you to length of the field tries, mate. The Waratahs scored that magnificent try against the Chiefs on the weekend. In the days following, we've had estimates of 110 out to 140 meters total in total travelled, with angles and how far in and out of the field they went and all that sort of stuff. 7 sets of hands, a crazy overhead pass, but a terrible swan dive that has so far escaped scrutiny by the try scorer Teddy Wilson. And I'm just putting to you, for a try that good, it needs a better swan dive than what Teddy Wilson said. So I cheers to the try, tricky. A little sneaky cheers for the swan dive.
It's tricky how static that smooth dive can look if the ground grabs you, and it could be very jarring. And I know all coaches out there are like, please don't injure yourself
put the ball
on
down.
the try. Yeah.
If you dive to score a try and your foot makes contact first, your dive's not gone well.
Nah, it's not one of the great sellies. We're seeing some really good celebrations in the Premiership right now with lawnmowers and spikes and basketball shots. That's what we want.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into this chat, mate, tell the nice people why we would really love them to subscribe to the 8-9 Combo.
Oh, okay. We want you to demonstrate that you love us, and we interpret love as followership and numbers. And we believe foolishly that every time we get to a new benchmark, which is 5,000 now coming up, that we'll be just as happy as Riaan, we'll be just as successful as Ringo, that we'll finally have made it. We'll be the boy band of rugby. So please help us.
Ringo tells us that's when the YouTube rivers of gold flow. So that's what we're really looking forward to. So if you are watching on YouTube, then just hit that red subscribe button down there in the corner. And we are less than 250 off 5,000. So we would love to get there in the next few weeks if we can. And if you're listening via Spotify, via Apple Pods, any of the podcast platforms, hit like, hit follow, hit subscribe, whatever it happens to be on your platform. And make sure you do not miss a minute. Even in busy weeks when I don't get very far through my list of YouTube subscriptions, I'm always sure to free up approximately 9 minutes to fit the rugby update in. And the best part about the rugby update is that we get to count the brains and the voice behind it as a mate, and it is now one of my more active chat groups. And so with that in mind, it is great to welcome back onto the 8-9 Combo from said rugby update, Riaan Louw. Hello, mate. Welcome back. How are you?
How's it going, guys? How's it going? How's the news cycle, hey? Yo, from yesterday, scraping for news to put at the end of our video, to today, where we've got coaches quitting mid-season in Galway and financial reports out of Australia with giant holes in it, and poached youngsters out of Australia, some kind of trafficking happening there, and then Rico Ioane replaces Jordy Barrett. It is incredible. I can't keep up. Well, couldn't all of this have happened on Monday, so I could have put in my video. I would have been on 7,000 by now.
Yeah. Do we expect to see New Zealand Customs just shut off options to Ireland from here on? It'll just be removed as a flight option when you're trying to book a plane out of Auckland, won't it?
Well, it's just a sabbatical, right? So the sabbaticals are designed by New Zealand as Trojan horses into Dublin.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't mean Ireland. We really just meant Japan. Yes. How good are news cycles? We're in for an interesting chat here, aren't we? We're going to try and talk about the various state of play around the rugby world. Harry, is that what we're aiming for?
Yeah, there's a lot of comparisons and contrasts between leagues. And we thought we might take a little bit of fun look at it and kind of what we envy, what would we steal if we were the top 14 sitting on a big pile of money, going to bed at night on a bed made of money. Would we still pine, however, for the URC graphic or, the sheer abandonment of all defense in Super Rugby? Like, what would we envy? What would we want?
Yeah. So why don't we then just sort of work through the leagues and we can just work out what we pinch and what we don't need and all that from it. Is that the best way to get through it?
Yeah, I think so.
We're very organised. All right, let's then start with Super Rugby, and I'm just flicking up here the current standings. And as you can see, we've talked about this, Harry. You've sort of got the Crusaders and Chiefs on top, and then there's this large group of about 7 teams underneath that. Then you got the Blues desperately hanging on, and then even Moana desperately hanging on, and then you've got the Fijian and Drua. So what do we think? What does Super Rugby's have a bit of a resurgence this year? So what are the obvious and enviable strengths as you guys currently see it?
For me, okay, so Super Rugby, it's still that, like I said, the first time we spoke, I think that it's that lover that we've lost. I still miss them, every now and again, every Saturday morning. But right now, the thing I think I envy the most of Super Rugby is Lautoka. I wish there was one in every league in the world. I cannot help. If I see the Drua going to play there, that is marked on my calendar. I got to watch this game. In the rain, in the sun, that place is one of the best. Who would have thought there's this incredible rugby fortress that side of the world? And if we had never left and Super Rugby hadn't invited them in, we would have never known this place exists. Just the Shangri-La of rugby. So that's the one I would love. Every league needs a place like that.
Just as a side note there, can you imagine how difficult and how long it might take to get from Durban to Lautoka?
I don't think they would have said, let's just play it in Perth.
No, they would have. It would have been like the Sunwolves. They would have said, "Sorry, we need to play in the Maldives. Let's meet halfway." That's a good shout.
Might just take an old-fashioned steamship. It might be actually more effective just to sail there instead of taking all the jumps.
It's a good shout. And look, there's no doubt that the Drua have added so much to Super Rugby. It is very, very hard to beat them on home soil, whether it's in Lautoka, whether it's in Suva. They're back in Lautoka this weekend. You have got to be a good team doing just about everything right on the day to beat them on home soil. When they start winning away, holy moly, the competition will be on its head again, Harry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what I find enviable about Super Rugby, I'll do one on pitch and I'll do one kind of off pitch. on pitch, it's great if you are a line-out thief or you just all want to have really good scrum percentage, because the scrums are so fleeting now that almost nobody can leak a penalty. So it's just kind of this very wild west, open gun shooter type rugby. And I think that is fun. Off the field, I do find the sarcasm and the irony and the appreciation of sarcasm and irony on social media and the actual clubs themselves just not giving a fuck and putting anything they want up there. I find that to be very refreshing and fun. A lot of the other leagues are very proper still. They have a kind of a kind of a grandized view of themselves. Like, we are now putting out some social media. We're Leicester Tigers, like the guy from the Blues, for example. I don't know if the guy could be a woman.
Copywriters.
Yes. Saracens is pleased to announce that our latest social media post says this.
Right. I do find the irreverence, I suppose, of Super Rugby quite refreshing. It's like they're like the naughty boys. They're sneaking out while the teacher's turned around. They climb out the window and then come around, knock on the door, and go, "Hi, hello, how's it going?"
Yeah, it's a good shout. What else are you taking from Super Rugby, Riaan?
Taking from them, not much else. I can tell you what I hate about it is the Crusaders' dominance, and that stench is slowly returning again. I thought we would get a few years of reprieve from them, and just it makes the whole thing fall so flat. There must be some, like, I don't know, all the owners must band together and tell them, no, you guys, it's almost like a monopoly lawsuit that you need to do, where like Microsoft or Google needs to be like cut to pieces just to get everyone else a chance. And then also Harry talks about scrums always being completed. It might never be said out loud, but there's this undercurrent of, can we just get these set pieces out of the way? Just get them done so we can get back to running rugby. So as a Safa, born and bred scrum lover, that still kind of just slightly irks me down.
And they made a thing of this last week or the week before, where they actually said average set times for lineouts was 10 or 11 seconds quicker than last year, and for scrums it was something similar. Where it was once taking 45 seconds, for the sake of the example, from making the mark to crouch, now it's 30. Lineouts was 18 or 19 seconds or something like that from making the mark to actually throw in. So the game has sped up, and that has brought fatigue, and there's arguments to and against that.
I know Harry's on my side here. He likes a bit of
I know he is. I
like some pauses and cessations. I like build-ups. I like some wasted time. And also I wonder when the Lions come to play, it's almost like a couple fighting over the temperature in the car or the bed sheets. I don't know if you can really do the rush job. I think in a test match, it's going to feel weird if the referee's hurrying Ty Furlong or Maro Itoje. I just think that they're not going to, and then you're going to have a Matthew Ranal moment.
Well,
we play or not play.
But that's going to be interesting in itself, because the three tests, I think it's not unreasonable to think that Ben O'Keefe probably referees one, and he's going to be, come on, let's go, let's set this scrum, let's pack it, let's get this line out done. Come on, get on. And then the next week, it'll be Luke Pearce, or it'll be, whoever it is from South Africa, say, and scrum. Yeah, let's do that.
And our interpretation is that the hurry up ref is most like, we don't like this game. We don't like it. We're embarrassed about our game. We're ashamed. Go. And I just don't think that will sit well in the Lions series, where you want to savor everything, and you're paying $1,000 million to be there. I don't think you want the game to go by in 47 minutes. Just for pure
action per dollar spent, we need the game to go as long as possible. I'm embarrassed to admit that I couldn't in that moment think of a South African referee. That's concerning.
Well, they're all working for Box now. Jacob Piper. I guess you could refer to the female referee who's catching some stick. I quite like her, and I think this is interesting too. Super Rugby, I think, has very talkative refs. I think when I watch Super Rugby, I think, wow, you guys are really having a conversation. Angus Gardner's always talking about couples therapy. He's like, I want stability. I want you to be empathic with your bind. Please talk to each other.
He has not used the word empathic. You are making that up. Yeah, look, it's a good point, and it's all coming from this point of view of communication, and we're often hearing it's being piped into the stadiums, and there's that's working in some stadiums and not others. So it's coming from a good place of intention. But yes, you're right.
The problem with Ben O'Keefe yells access, but it sounds like he's saying excess when he's
true.
Shouting excess. Like what? What do you want?
Who? Where's the extra player?
Yeah. What do you mean?
Fair. The obvious flaws at the moment are, well, the return of the Crusaders. Is that a flaw?
Yes,
never in the course of human conflict has one competition been dominated by one team more than this. It's like unbelievable. The other thing is it's too short. It's a sprint, and you can tell. It's just I just think that favors the team. Like in the end, there's almost no way back, and some teams are already just squashed. Their morale is dead. Their souls are stolen.
I saw an interview with Tom Hooper where he said himself he's going north to be able to play more rugby. He just wants to play more rugby, and there's more games up north to play. So that's why he's going. The sprint of Super Rugby just doesn't give him. I mean, if you love rugby, you're a professional rugby player, you want to do that. That's your job. You want to do more of it. So a couple more teams down south, and it'll be perfect.
We touched on this with Conrad Smith the other week. If the CBA in England says that players can't go past or shouldn't go past 30 games in a year, in Australia we're thinking, you've got to have played Super Rugby finals and played every test. You might get to 29. So like we would love to have a problem like that, and that is it's probably a combination of factors. If the season's not too short, then there definitely needs to be more rugby played in Australia. That's the two are definitely interlinked there. We'll move to the Irk then. Excuse me. The table. I mean, Leinster are daylight clear. Glasgow are a couple of points clear in second. Similarly, the Bulls in third. But then from sort of Munster down to the Scarlets, Ospreys, Connacht even in 13th. There's like a win and a half between them. So it's all the tables are crazy tight now. But we're starting to see. Here's what I'll take from the Irk. I'll absolutely take their graphics and their social media department. The Irk does that exceptionally well. And the most recent example of that is social media graphic goes up today, and it's percentage chance of playing in finals. And it's 100% from Leinster down to Zebra.
Zero.
I think someone had a 1% chance. Like, so you're saying there's still a chance?
Just believe. You can tell they've definitely spent money. Actually, that was my love as well. If they've spent money on PR, they make sure their graphics are unified across the whole competition. Every game has the same little scoreboard. Everything is the same. Refs all look the same. That's great. And you can even get a hold of the bosses, Adam Redmond, those types of guys. You can message them directly about the league, and they'll answer you. I've done it a few times. So
good. We didn't talk to you about this.
The access to them
for another day.
Yeah, the access is very, very good. TV numbers, they will be the first competition to bleed out. Look how many people have come to the stadium. Look how many people are watching this competition. So very, very good PR, which is what I love.
The graphic we see when a player goes through the judiciary process, and it is red card process. He was charged against this law. There was no mitigation for these reasons. Therefore, it starts at 8 weeks. He's got a good record, so it comes down to 4. He can go to tackle school. Therefore, it's 3 weeks, which is these games. Like, that is just perfectly well laid out. And you look at that and you go, all right, no real questions there. Harry, that's one thing that I think most leagues would love to pinch from the Irk is their judicial graphics.
Yeah, I think in general graphics are good. I like when they have a permutation slide and they say, here are the things that have to happen for this team to go. They seem to find a good way to do that. I do like the stat bank they have. It's particularly useful because you can do team versus team. You can do player versus player. The stats are interesting. They really focus on scrum, penalties won and lost, for example, and take the holistic approach of looking at a scrum, not just completion, but think of it as a weapon to get penalties. I don't know about you, Riaan, but I like that stat work that they've got going, and they're quick. It's ready. It's up.
Yeah. No, I enjoy that very much, especially in my videos when you need to say something about two teams. You can't just, you know where to go. There's a place, it's bookmarked on my computer. You click on it, you know you're going to find the information. And another thing that they do well is you can download their games and use them in your videos. Every single game they've ever played, from the first ERC to now, the entire game is uploaded onto their website. And you can go through every game they've ever played. Look at it, use it, everything. Yeah, I think the top 14 or the Prem might do it, but I know for a fact the URC has said, please go ahead, use our footage in your videos. We won't. I've never had issues with URC videos.
And so that speaks to an understanding of engagement, doesn't it? They know that the way to get people engaged is to let them use it. And if we like it, we'll even share it. Which does definitely happen from time to time. So it makes good sense. Yeah, I pitched that. Is the ERC administration base, is that in one location, or is there a couple of offices around in a few different countries?
It's all in Dublin. I think it's run out of next door to the IRFU. So they
which is next door to World Rugby.
And the All Blacks agents' telephones.
Yeah, right. Okay. I wondered that. Yeah, no, they do it. They do it very well. There's no question about that. Let's see if we can make it work a third time for you.
Has Harry bounced between cell phone towers?
Is there tunnels or something in County Island?
Yeah, we went through 2 tunnels already, so I think we're done for the tunnels.
Oh, okay.
But in answer to your question, when you walk down Lyon Road, you literally run into 3 or 4 of the most powerful bodies of rugby in a row, and it's just kind of nondescript houses.
World Rugby, Ireland, Leinster.
and a special building that says, here's all the money for rugby, and we have it right here.
Is it just like Scrooge McDuck's vault or something like that?
There's just a bunch of Frenchmen running around with Irishmen.
What about then floors of the ERC? Are there any? There must be some, surely.
Yes. You can tell where they've cut costs. The cracks are often visible. Editors for highlights packages is definitely the very first one. It looks like someone has taken their iPhone and they've done the highlights packages on their iPhones and then uploaded it. Repeated tries, penalty kicks out of order. Sometimes the end of the game is shown and then they go back and show a couple more tries. It is terrible. It's work I could do in 15 minutes, and I don't know what's happening. Why they definitely have cut costs there, and it's important. The Super Rugby highlights are massive. They make so much money off of the highlights packages on Super Rugby. So if you get it right, that is actually a revenue stream, and it's a place where you get a lot of fan engagement. So I wish they would just sort that out.
Yeah, that feels like it should be a non-negotiable, Harry. That's something that you've got to get right. The way you show your product is fairly important.
Yeah. I think it falls down too on the rivalry meter. I think there's not a lot of natural rivalries and enmities. You have Italian teams that surely don't have any real beef with Welsh teams. And you have Scottish teams that are friendly, with the South African teams. You do have some building between, for example, there's Munster Stormers or there's Leinster Bulls. There's some cross rivalries, but it'll take a long time for those stories to tell well. And it also falls into the trap that Super Rugby has too, where too many teams now start to root for their nation's teams writ large instead of having proper rivalries. Like, Munster does not rejoice when Leinster does well, even when they beat someone outside Ireland. And that's when you have a healthy club system.
Yeah. It is that takes so much time to build. Even with Super Rugby, how many years has that been going now? 30 years? And you're still struggling to get the cross conference. It's still New Zealand versus Australia. It's not Brumbies versus the Blues or something like that. So it is something that we should just be meaner to each other. We're all too nice to each other.
It's knowing exactly where the right kind of mean is, and you got to have just the right kind of maliciousness, and then it goes too far. No, I don't do that.
Well, let's just walk that back a touch. Fair. Should we move to the Premiership? And again, it's nice and tight there in the middle between Gloucester in third and Harlequins in fourth. There's less than a win, and then Sales again less than a win off that. So we're talking 6 points between third and seventh, and even Northampton in eighth on 26 points isn't completely out of the mix there. So with only 4 or 5 rounds to go in the Premiership, there's still plenty of rugby to play out in that, which is great, Harry. That's what we want.
Premiership is the Sugar Daddy league. Everyone has recognizable names. They're from a place that we know. They're misty, shrouded in history. People stand up at the games. They have a few pints in their hands. They wear kind of cool hats. All their jerseys are old school. No one has a new jersey. It's all from 1967. There's elbow patches everywhere and all that. So it's fun. It's just we're wondering how long it's going to actually last before it collapses, because every single year we look at 2 more clubs in distress. And just to be clear, what's happening there is most of the ownership of Premiership clubs is a guy, an industrialist, or someone who has 40,000 pharmacies, and he has this club on the side because he likes to bring his friends as part of his marketing portfolio. Hey, by the way, I own Exeter. Oh, that's cool. Let's go there. But they don't really care about the win-loss. I mean, the Harlequins leadership told the guy who told me, they don't even aim for winning for top of the table. They just want to sit right there in the comfortable spot, kind of lose pleasantly a little bit of money every year, hit $1 million here, $1 million there. So it's, I don't know how long it's going to last, but geez, I do like watching a Leicester Tigers match. I just like the vibe. I like the way it looks. I like the way it looks cold and interesting and very green.
I have similar good feels watching Bath and Northampton. There's just something about those. I don't know.
It's like every single game is a derby. Doesn't matter where they're from or anything. Every single game has some history behind it.
Very true.
100 years of history will do that, won't it?
Yeah. So what do we grievance from 1780 when some lord attacked my castle and killed someone, and we still celebrate that festival.
True. So what are we pinching from the earth? What are they doing well that you'd love to have
from the Prem? I want their referees, best in the world. Hands down for me. The English referees are professional, communicative, all very well put together guys, and so professional that when they do they're reffing French teams, they will even speak French, which I'm sure the players appreciate. And I can't think of any other country that has a set of referees as good as the English one. So I wish
wasn't always the case, though. Does it feel like there's been a change there?
I don't know. Maybe because there's a few good ones in Australia and New Zealand. South Africa has a bit of a dearth of good refs right now. France always has at least one, but I don't know. Maybe they did a referee academy or something, but there just seems to be so many good young referees there now. And even in the female space, there's good referees all over the place there. And
Britain's got talented referees.
I agree with you, and also they're very buff. I mean, they lift weights. These English refs are They're ready to play, man.
Yeah.
So if you do the age-old trick, which is what number eight always does, is to run right at the referee. These refs don't play. They just, okay, you want to come at me? I'm going to put you on your horse.
Well, yeah. Well, look, Angus Gardner won a head-to-head like that on the weekend, didn't he? Had a scrum half win at him and resulted in knock on. So
yeah, but it was a 9. No, but I mean, to me, the Prem, it has stories, and we like stories in rugby. I suppose I also like the kit. I kind of like the way like a Northampton or a Bath or a Leicester Tigers always seems to evoke the age-old spirit of the jersey.
Yeah.
And so you could look at 1975. You could go back and look at, Martin Johnson or something, and you go, I know who you're playing for, and it's easy. Whereas sometimes across some of the other leagues, it's such a departure that I don't know what the Highlanders are. I mean, sometimes I just have no idea what they're playing.
Yeah.
It's the word franchise is not gotten in there yet. It's all clubs. The word franchise will never be uttered.
Yeah, but yeah. Well, and because they are clubs, whereas 30 years ago, they was like, oh, we need a professional competition. We need teams. What do we got? We've got Queensland and New South Wales ready to go.
Yeah. Make some up.
We need 10 more.
Right. And the problem with the Prem is just that, it's this age-old problem of having a sugar daddy is if you're going to have a sugar daddy, you might get rich, but you're going to earn every cent. So, I just think like it's every year, it just must be such a perilous thing when you compare them to, say, top 14 with a proper business structure and marketing and oodles of broadcast money. In England, it's just, again, this very insider club thing.
Flying by the seat of their pants, aren't they? So they have decent revenue, they have decent budgets, but geez, their accounting's got some questions to ask.
Yeah.
So they can keep their accounting.
For sure.
So then the top 14 are doing plenty right, it would seem. And again, they've got a pretty decent looking table where there's a clear top 3 now, and even Toulouse is a little bit clear at the top there. But again, 5th down to 10th, there's not a whole lot between. And so, what are we in? We're in round 21 this weekend. There's still, 15 or 16 rounds to go. I don't know. It goes on forever, doesn't it? The top 14. So they've still got a competition that's got plenty to play out, which is, there's plenty of jeopardy. That's for sure.
Yeah, I love the top 14. I wish I wasn't alive during the heyday of the Currie Cup, so I wish I knew what it was like to have that domestic bliss. It is in your country. It's between you and teams in your country. They all seemingly have money. They all have professional setups with academies. There's a league below it, which is well supported as well. Another league below that, and below that, and below that. They have this massive pyramid of rugby. It's the envy of the world. There's so much, like Harry said, there's so much money involved in it. I think their yearly top 14 contract is double the South African budget for rugby. Like the entire South Africa rugby budget is 1 year of top 14 rugby that they get from TV money. So it's just that gigantic thing. And it seems the France like public is starting to fall in love with it more than soccer. I've heard that there are places where it's basically PSG and nothing else. The rugby is starting to take over the public space. I just wish we could go back to that in the Currie Cup as well. My dream is to just have a domestic competition that big, 12, 14 teams, all brilliant, with the jeopardy of going down and coming back up and all that stuff.
When you have a situation where the Pro D2 is it's inside the top 5 professional leagues in terms of revenue or income or something.
Yeah, no, it's second. Yeah. It's second. Yeah.
Second.
It's no joke. Pro D2 with their new deal, it becomes the second most prestigious money league in the world, which is
Jesus.
bizarre that you have two stacked. And there are teams like Breve, Courtney Laws is playing, that would do fine in lots of leagues. They would do fine in the ERC. They would not finish, as far down as some of these Welsh teams are, Italian teams. Top 14, I also think that the spirit between some of these, the rivalries, like you go to a place like Bayonne or La Rochelle, the pageantry, the singing, the doom, 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 the whole game. You have a guy just banging on a drum, and someone with a trombone, and you got a guy with a cello. And I mean, there's no regard to the actual game. It's hilarious. In the World Cup, it was kind of annoying, but in club rugby, it's perfect. That's exactly what you want. I think there's no need for a DJ. I mean, they do have them, but they don't really need them. Everyone's all revved up, and they gather early. They have huge buffets, and they're properly stoked when they come into the park. And it's an all-day thing, and nobody is trying to rush the game in the top 14. Nobody.
Yeah.
There's a song to be sung first before the scrum,
Yeah, exactly.
It amazes me that a club and a town like La Rochelle, who the team has not had a great year, but the sellouts continue, the live sites still continue. Going to the rugby for the day is still an event that you want to do, and it doesn't seem to matter that their team is almost terrible this year.
No, it's true love. They truly love their teams. Even places that you don't even associate with it. Montpellier, I spent a few days there one time ahead of a game, and after the whole town just shuts down for the game. And it's all they talk about. It's to Riaan's point. They're besotted. They adore their team. Sometimes they boo their own team and whistle their team though because they're French, but they still love their team. Yeah.
So here's something that they can keep. They can keep their playing kits. I'm expecting a French team to say, we've announced a brand new shorts crotch sponsor, because they will put a logo anywhere.
That's how they can afford everything, Brett, because every inch is sold to someone.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, I look at some of the jerseys, some of the jerseys in the Champions Cup on the weekend. There was 4 and 5 logos on the front.
You got to pay for everything somehow.
It's a nice problem to have, isn't it? It's a nice.
But that's how. I mean, we have the choice of jerseys covered in stickers, or you have an American style. No, more ads during the game. I'd take a slightly garish jersey over. More ads, and more stoppages like that.
Okay, when you put it like that,
yeah.
What do you?
What I don't like
is good. Yeah.
Just give us an English website. How hard is it? Why be so opaque? I'm not English, so I'm allowed to ask this. I'm allowed to complain. Just give us an English website, maybe an English top 14 account, so I understand what is happening. Because it is clicking on Google Translate does not always work so well. So
Harry, I'm just gonna mute Harry whilst he pays his Uber. Yeah, look. So I'll actually sneak ahead here, and here is the games this weekend. This is a slide of the games. So we're not looking at fixtures. We're not looking at a draw. We're looking at the program. And
exactly.
This week I learned that the
journey.
This is this week I learned that the abbreviation for April in French is AVR.
I did not know that. And they don't call it the top 14; they call it the top coutures, and that kind of stuff, And SI, is SI a try? I can't.
SI is a try,
yeah. So I think they would be even
transformation
bigger.
Is a conversion.
Conversion, that much I picked up. Yeah. So I watched two Champions Cup games out of France over this weekend just gone, and my French isn't great. I'm just going to say that up front.
Understand.
So I had to. So I actually had the volume down fairly low, but they really pipe up the referee audio. So it meant that I heard Matt Carley, and I can't think who the other referee was, really, really clearly. So this is actually pretty cool. And so the commentary was just sort of bubbling along in the background, and that was all fine. But it was really interesting to hear the the conversations on the field. It was a really interesting way of doing it. What don't you like then? What are you guys telling the top 14 they can keep?
This is my final comment because I have to sign off unless I get attacked by a dog. I don't like the way the top 14 has incredible close-ups of a nostril, a blade of grass, and even the thoughts of Jaminet coming out of his head. But then when it's time for Test rugby and a contentious try against the French, there is never any camera angle to be found. And I believe that starts at top 14. They practice it against each other.
Yeah.
So we're just watching how they perfected their own derby techniques, and then they just do it in Test rugby.
Are you suggesting that TV directors are also selected for tests?
Yes, that is. It's a whole conspiracy.
Every match is an audition to get a test match.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but on this one I am.
Yeah, right. Okay, so if you're about to drop off here, do we need to? Is Riaan hanging around to do games of the week with me?
Yes.
We did not discuss this.
Yes. Yeah, tag in. It's going to be cool.
I'll wing it. I'm not scared. Let's do it.
Just do what I do.
Harry, thanks so much for joining us, and it's been great to catch up. It's been fantastic to have you on the pod. We look forward to catching up again soon.
Top of the morning to you. Bye.
So Riaan, we've got rid of the dead wood from the podcast. We're going to touch on League One in Japan and Major League Rugby in the States as well, just to wrap this up, because they are both ticking along nicely around the world. There's obviously plenty of money coming into League One in Japan. Major League Rugby is becoming a bit of a destination for plenty of South African players, Australian players, New Zealand players as well. So they're growing along nicely. Japan has been an interesting watch this year. Again, nice and tight. There's been a bit of movement around. It's not just Panasonic and Suntory like it was for a long time. Suntory have really dropped down the table this year. But even now Toshiba, who have been the giant killers in the last 12 months, suddenly found themselves beaten by 30 points on the weekend, and they've slipped to third. Kubota Spears, it feels like they've come from nowhere to be suddenly second. And so suddenly there's only 4 points between the top three teams. There's not much around sort of 6, 7, 8 positions. There is a lot going on in Japan rugby now, again, with only about 4 or 5 rounds to play.
Yeah, no, it's been great. I'll go straight into, I've got a little thing here that I like about them is just the organization. I know it's a bit of a cliche to call Japanese people organized, but it seems so well put together. They have a plan. They didn't, when Super Rugby Pacific started, they weren't lured into sending another club to Super Rugby. They were like, no, we've got our thing. We have a plan. We are going to stick to it. And it's starting to pay such good dividends. Every year, more people are talking about it. Obviously, South Africans have a half a foot there because so many of our best players are there. We love the way they treat our Springboks. They all come back always so refreshed, so healthy. If someone gets hurt, they are happy to let them go, come back to South Africa. So I like the Japanese just because you can see they have a plan and they are organized and they're sticking to it.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting because I can definitely see a scenario coming in the next few years where they go, you know what, we're going to add a 4th international player on the field.
Yeah,
and all the clubs will go, Hugh Beauty, and all of a sudden there'll be a dozen more Australians go. There'll be 25 more South Africans go. And we're starting to see guys go from the UK and Ireland are going to Japan now for stints. So if they up that flood of players is only going to get bigger.
Yeah, and they've also, just like the French, they've got multiple divisions with South Africans playing there. I mean, Frank Morstead, he played for the Honda Heat in the 3rd division for a while, and I think they went up to 2nd, and they're in the top division now.
They're at the top now, Well, a team like Kintetsu, where Will Genia and Quade Cooper have been playing for a few years now, they've sort of been up and down, and they know, all right, we're going to need to spend some more money again. Let's try and get back up. And they do the English language thing well. You go to the League One website, click on England. They have specific English accounts for their social media account. Although I note that they don't necessarily get updated at the same time, and we've certainly had to use result graphics or table graphics this year from the Japanese account because the English account just hasn't posted it yet. So
Google Translate was down.
Yeah, exactly. We used to be able to watch League One in Australia on Stan Sport. We haven't for a few years. You can still watch League One games on Rugby Pass TV, but I don't think they're all there. I think it might be only 1 or 2 a week.
Yeah, it's a few a weekend, I think. Yeah.
That is one of the things. Do you see it?
Yeah, I can. It is harder to go and find it because it's maybe on Rugby Pass or whatever. But there's a Rugby Pass TV app on my TV, so I can watch it if I want. But I watch so much rugby. Adding the Japanese league to it would take up the entire day. But it is nice if I see someone like Jesse Creel is up against Malcolm Marks. You might tune in for that, just to see that. It's like watching the old Super Rugby games where those players would be up against each other.
Yeah. And Major League Rugby to head into this is in a similar state. There's plenty of jeopardy. There's been good movement on the table. We're looking at the conference tables right now, and West, there's 4 points between first and fourth, and there's been plenty of movement there. It's a little bit more spaced out in the Eastern Conference, but more grouping between second, third, fourth. And I certainly haven't watched games. I can actually see a Major League Rugby replay on Stan Sport in Australia. Funnily enough, I've seen the odd highlight clip here and there, but they do that well. I think they get the engagement thing. There is lots of the social media game from the league and from the clubs is really good. So they do that side of things pretty well, I think.
Yeah, it's they know the market they're in. They can't just be quiet. They need to be as loud as they can and trumpet about their product being so good, which I like. I love the names of the teams because they're also very franchisey, but it almost fits an American thing. It doesn't feel weird like it would in England or something like that. So I like that. It's just very hard. I want a Dr. Pepper anthem shirt so bad, and you cannot get any of their stuff in our country. Also, watching it here is nearly impossible. I think.
If only you knew a former South African guy who lived in the States.
Yeah,
I can't think of one.
Another thing I like about them, now that I think about it, is I wish Harry was here. Fiscal responsibility. They are very strict about if you are not doing well, straight to the wall. We will not carry you. We won't get sob stories.
And not just that. If you are slightly above the salary cap, gone. Out. We remove your license. So that's true.
That's very good. They realize if we are going to make this work, we all have to work together. And if anyone is not working together, bye-bye. We don't care if you're the Saracens. You are out of here, which is good. It can only be good for the league in the long run.
This is the 8-9 Combo with Brett McKay, and not Harry Jones, but still Riaan Louw. And mate, look, it was great to have Harry Jones on the 8-9 Combo this week.
Yeah, always a great guest, that guy. Never in one place. It's always when you have him on, you never know what you're going to get.
He has never bailed on a podcast in 4 years we've been doing this. He has never left early. That's what we have.
Blame the Irish.
Our people will be having words with him. We will be back with the weekend postmortem, looking back at all the big games and all the big results each weekend around the rugby world. And that will be with the ERC is back this weekend, the Premiership's back this weekend, the top 14 is back this weekend as well. So that'll be out late Sunday, early Monday morning, depending on where you are in the rugby world. Games of the week, mate, and thank you for hanging around so that I don't have to do this by myself. There is some really interesting games coming up. We're really on the downhill run to finals and things like that now. It's round 10 in Super Rugby there, and the couple of obvious standout games to me, I think, Crusaders Blues in Christchurch on Friday night, and even the Fijian Drua v Waratahs in Lautoka on Saturday afternoon is going to be a great game. Force Hurricanes in Perth on Saturday night, I think, is an interesting game as well.
Just to see how the Hurricanes travel, that would be good.
What's your pick there? What do you like?
Drua, Waratahs.
Yeah, right.
To see if the Waratahs can back up that result against the Chiefs, and then just what Churchill Park gives us again. There's fewer better teams to watch live.
Yeah, will it be sunny? Will it be dry? Will it be flooded with water again? Like it's a great point. It's a different sort of jeopardy. I like it. I like
drowning.
it. I went drowning. Yeah, drowning in rugby games. That's a new kind of jeopardy. I went early with the Erk slide there, but there it is again. It's round 15. There, 4 rounds to play in the Erk this week. I don't mind the look of Edinburgh v Sharks on Friday night. That's 8th against 4th. Harry will be at Munster v Bulls in Limerick on Saturday, and that's an interesting game. It's 6th against. It's not 6th against 8th. That's not right. 6th against 3rd, isn't it? Yeah. And then Leinster Ulster is a good old fashioned Irish derby at the Aviva on Saturday as well. What do you think? Is there another game there that I've overlooked?
There's these 2 teams with lions in their logos playing at Ellis Park on Saturday as well. What's interesting now is a lot of the South African teams are in like a home run now. I think the Sharks and the Bulls have a couple of away games, but the Stormers and the Lions have their home run now. So this is the time they need to start winning. If they want to climb into the top 8, every game for them becomes very important now. So that's what I'm looking forward to see if playing at home, if the crowds are good, and if they can get themselves into playoff spots. Yeah.
I'm certainly going to try and keep an eye on Munster and the Bulls. That looks like it's going to be a cracking game as well. It's round 14 of the Premiership this weekend. There is 5 rounds to play there. Saracens Gloucester, I think, is an interesting one on Saturday. It's 6th against 4th, and then Bristol v Leicester at Ashton Gate on Sunday. That's 2nd v 3rd. There's only one game between. One win between them. That's the 2 obvious ones, I think.
Oh, you've missed Northampton Saints. I want to tune into Henry Pollock and Tommy Freeman. What will they come up with next?
I get that. But
there'll be lots of opportunity playing the Falcons. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah. Look who has decided to join us for Games of the Week. We're halfway through, mate. We're nearly done here. I thought you were gone.
I was walking up to a wee house on top of a hill above the river, and my tail was supposed to be a dog. And if I would say the dog's name, then I would know it was in the right spot because there's no one here. And 2 dogs approached me, and they both liked me, and I liked both of them. And the person I'm staying with had never sent me a picture of her dog. So
you don't know which dog you're supposed to walk?
Well, I figured out the way to get in, and then I see a picture of that dog. So now I know which dog to walk. I don't want to wrong dog.
What a life.
It's just fantastic. It's fantastic. All right. So we're going to call it Bristol Leinster is the game we're liking there. It's going to be an interesting contest. There's no doubt about that. It is round 21 of the top 14. There are 6 or 15 or 25 rounds to play. I can never keep up. I actually found this a hard round to pick a game worthy of calling game of the week out of this. There's a lot of top team playing bottom teams where I've kind of gone. Lyon v Montpellier is 7th against 8th, and the winner can theoretically get into the 8 if, for instance, Claremont was to lose to Toulon. Claremont is 6th currently. So, I mean, tell me there's another game I'm missing there. Harry, you watch more French rugby than I do.
That's a nice game. And I've done that trip from Lyon to Montpellier. And I think a lot of times top 14 revolves around the train. So if your train journey is 2 hours or less, you probably have a rivalry. If it's 3 hours or more, you don't even care. So
Lyon, you go down to the coast to Montpellier, and you really think you're better than them. So Lyonnais people are sure of that. Yeah. And Montpellier thinks that Lyon is, very fancy and full of themselves. So there's a proper rivalry there. And I think you're right, Brett. After all these Champions Cup ties and Challenge Cup ties, it's a bit of a breather. And not every team thinks about it as much as another team. Yeah.
It feels like the next few weeks are sort of going to be. It's time to run out a few academy kids. We just rest a few bodies.
What you said about the train, I'm wondering what would happen to French rugby if they all get high-speed rail. Would everyone be the most important rival? If everyone's
it's a good point, because in the World Cup we learned that there were some towns that you would think there was a connection. I forget which one. Maybe it was Nantes or Bordeaux, and it was actually quite hard to get there. And
you went to so many towns. It's hard to keep up.
But my point is, Lyon to Paris is very, there's probably 10 trains a day. And it's quick. Whereas, getting around the coast, I suppose, is harder. I also think that Montpellier is an interesting club when you look at the numbers and the finances, because they are really stacked, man. They got serious dough.
Yeah, have always had serious dough. When you say a 2 or 3 hour train trip in France, you realize how big the country is.
So from, what is it, would be Metz up north, or Lille, all the way down to, say, I don't know, maybe Nice. And that's a proper journey. I mean, it's nothing like Australia. It's pretty
yeah. In the grand scheme of Sydney to Melbourne, where does it rank? Yeah. Yeah, fair. Round 8 of Major League Rugby, and this is a funny little period for Major League Rugby, because there's a couple of midweek games next week that I'm not actually sure whether they're in this round or in the next round, but I think I've got this round isolated. I think the pick there is the last one on that list, San Diego Legion v Utah Warriors in San Diego on Saturday. That is 3rd v 2nd in the West Conference. Harry, I will defer to you on this. Tell me there is another game that will be better than that on the weekend.
No, that's a good one. And San Diego coming off a bitter loss is probably smarting from that. Wanted to do better. Utah Warriors.
Utah have jumped them on the conference table too.
Yeah. Utah's built their whole team around Pacific Island talent. A lot of it's indigenous, in terms of Salt Lake City is one of the largest percentage population of Pacific Islanders, and has been, for 50, 60 years. So they've got a ready-made fan base, which I think is really important when you're in a young league. Yeah. And San Diego is full of your mob, Brett. I mean,
Australians guys and former Sevens players. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's all fair. It's all fair. This brings us to the end. Anything else we need to cover off? Riaan, anything I go to you at this point?
I want all of those things that I said I want for my league. I want it by next year, please. So it can truly be the best league.
Close the business next Friday. That'd be great. That then is another.
He wants to ring fence Johannesburg so no one can keep taking his players.
Please.
It is nice of the Sharks to set up an academy in Joburg.
It used to be in Bloemfontein.
Yeah, there you go. True. That then is another great episode of the 8-9 Combo Rugby Podcast behind us. Our sincere thanks to one of you two was the guest. I can't remember who it was for joining us. Harry and I remain on the socials in our usual places at Harry Bordy Jones, at BMC Sport. Ringo is in his usual places on the socials as well, at Ringo26. And be sure to find and follow the 8-9 Combo on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Blue Sky as well. Leave us a rating or review and share us as far and wide as you can. This is the 8-9 Combo, the short side set piece combination you didn't realise you needed in a rugby podcast. I'm Brett McKay, he's Harry Jones, and he's Riaan Louw. We will be back in your ears at the weekend post-mortem. One of you needs to close this off.
Ringo, go.
Come play with us. Yes. This is my podcast now.
Here goes Jones with another bruising run. He links up with McKay, who pops back to Jones. They can't. They won't. They will. What a try. The Dream Team Combo go in again.